In the bustling city of Lagos, the air was heavy with the sound of honking cars, vendors shouting at their stalls, and the endless energy of people chasing opportunities. Among them was Chinedu, a hard-working young man from Anambra who had recently found a job in Lagos after years of struggle. This job meant everything to him, not just for himself but for his family back in the village who depended on him. One Friday evening, after a long week, Chinedu prepared to travel home for the weekend to see his mother. She had been unwell, and he longed to sit by her side. He packed a small bag, took his Bible, and hurried to the busy bus park at Ojota. The place was overflowing with travelers, each person desperate to find a seat before night fell. Chinedu found a seat in a commercial bus heading east. As passengers entered, he noticed different characters: an elderly woman who clutched her rosary, a young man blasting music through his headphones, two businesswomen whispering about a deal, and a driver who seemed in a rush, eager to load the bus and collect fares quickly. Before the bus moved, the elderly woman stood up. Her voice was calm but firm as she said, "My children, let us pray before we begin this journey. The road is not always friendly, but the Lord goes ahead of us." Some passengers bowed their heads, while others rolled their eyes. The driver sighed loudly, tapping the steering wheel impatiently, but out of respect, he allowed her to pray. Chinedu, who had been raised by a praying mother, closed his eyes and whispered his own short prayer: "God, please keep us safe. Guide this bus." The prayer lasted only a few minutes, but it filled the air with a quiet peace before the bus finally roared onto the highway. The journey started smoothly. The road stretched endlessly, lined with palm trees and the scattered villages of southern Nigeria. People laughed, shared groundnuts, and even dozed off. But 2 hours later, as the bus sped along a bend near Benin City, something terrifying happened. A heavy trailer, overloaded with cement bags, lost control while descending a slope. Its brakes failed, and it swerved dangerously across the lane, heading directly toward the bus. Panic erupted. The driver screamed, passengers cried out, and in those few seconds, time seemed to freeze. Chinedu clutched the seat in front of him, his heart pounding, certain this was the end. But just at the last moment, as if guided by unseen hands, the bus driver swerved into a narrow clearing by the roadside. The trailer thundered past, missing them by inches, before crashing into a ditch with a deafening noise that shook the ground. Dust filled the air, people screamed, but the bus was safe. Not a single passenger had been harmed. Silence fell inside. Then the elderly woman who had prayed earlier began to weep softly. "Do you see?" she whispered. "This is why we must always pray before traveling. The road is not ours, it belongs to God." Chinedu's body trembled, but in his heart, he felt gratitude. He knew that prayer had created a shield around them. If not for those few minutes they had lifted their voices to heaven, the story might have ended in tragedy. When the bus finally reached its destination late that night, the passengers went their separate ways, but each carried with them the same memory: the moment they were spared. And for Chinedu, it became a lesson he would never forget. No matter how small the journey, prayer was not optional. It was life itself. From that day, every time he stepped into a bus, boarded a flight, or even rode on a motorbike, his first instinct was to whisper, "God, go before me." Because he had seen with his own eyes how a simple prayer could turn what should have been disaster into deliverance.